In life, everything happens so fast all at once. It's hard to catch your breath with everything that happens every day. Now imagine trying to capture those moments with your camera. That's street photography for you. It can be difficult at first, but definitely not impossible. In this video, we're going to talk about tips to help you with your street photography. I will be roughly covering these topics, so if you would like a more in-depth video of a topic, please let me know in the comment section below. I hope you leave this video with some new information that will help or inspire you for your next shoot. Tip number 1, have anticipation. I'll be the first to say this. With street photography, you definitely need some luck with how fast the world moves. Having the correct subject, lighting, frame, etc. to get what we want is difficult to have all at once, but we can at least try to make it easier for us by having anticipation of people's movements, waiting for them, having knowledge of the area we're photographing in, and so on. In this section specifically, I'll be focusing on anticipating people's movements. There are quite a few things that will help us anticipate their movements. First is their movement patterns. Where are they heading towards? How fast are they walking? Is there a chance their direction changes, aka crossing the street, and so on? Then I ask myself, where do I need to be to capture what I want? After those series of questions, I quickly try to get into position, and I'll wait if necessary, and hopefully I was right. If not, then well, I can't really do anything about it. I then make the decision of whether I wait for another subject or I continue on with my walk. Looking at the example of these pictures here, in this first picture, I was in downtown LA, and for the side story, this particular day, I couldn't really find anything. It was late after work, and I wasn't really feeling it. I was actually on my way back to the parking lot when I saw this man walking across the street. I had my 85mm on my camera luckily, and quickly got into position. I had enough time to decide whether I wanted it eye level or not, and decided to get low and see how I liked it. I knew I wanted him right in the middle between the pillars, so I waited for that moment and got this shot. What made the shot even better in my opinion is the fact that he looked back. That was all luck, and I'm glad he did for whatever reason. With this second example, it was taken in downtown Busan during my trip to Korea. I was walking around and saw this little food stand and thought, oh, it'd be nice to get a photo of this person making some food. I knew he would eventually make some food, but I actually had to wait for a while because he was walking side to side before stopping at a place where I can capture this photo. This required me to wait for a while, and I usually do wait if I think I can get something. I always tell myself it's better to wait than to think what if and miss out on anything I might like. Tip number 2, pay attention to lighting. Lighting is one of, if not the most important thing in photography. You can have the greatest subject in the world, but with poor lighting, it won't live up to its potential. Whereas the opposite, you can take a picture of some random thing on the street, and with the type of lighting on it, you can drastically change how one looks at it. The lighting I will be discussing in this section is about how light hits your subject. You can separate it into 3 basic categories: frontal lighting, backlighting, and side lighting. With backlighting, you can use it to make your subject into a silhouette figure. This can help mask your subject's face to make them feel more mysterious. Along with silhouettes, side lighting can add a cinematic feel to the photo. It separates the background from your subject, adding more depth to your photo. With side lighting more specifically, it shows more texture as the areas of the subject aren't evenly lit, thus giving you that 3D feel. With frontal lighting, the lighting makes the image look flat generally. Your subject has to really be different to stand out from the background. I like having my subject lit differently to express how I want the photo to be seen. Tip number 3, shoot in aperture priority. I shoot with aperture priority 99% of the time because it gives me control of the aperture while letting the camera set the shutter speed based off of that. Controlling my ISO and aperture while letting the camera control the shutter speed makes it that much easier to focus on the photo rather than the settings. Depth of field is the most important aspect to control for me to ensure I can take the photo how I want it, so that's the setting I need to actively change myself. If I don't want the depth of field to change, but I need to raise my shutter speed, I do that with my ISO. It's a very easy system that requires no second thought. I just raise my ISO or lower it. Then I can spend more time thinking about the composition of the photo I want to take. This actually brings me to my next tip. Tip number 4, keep ISO at around 640 or so. Keeping your ISO at around 640 lets you quickly adapt to changing environments. With street photography, conditions can change drastically in a hurry, whether it's a change of weather on an overcast day or if we're going indoors. Having your ISO in that middle area around 640 gives us flexibility in case the lighting changes. I can't count how many times I've lost a potential shot just because my shutter speed was too slow due to the fact that I went indoors. Having our ISO in the middle area of around 640 or so allows us to quickly lower the ISO or raise the ISO to quickly adjust to your surroundings. The time it takes to adjust my ISO is all it takes to lose a potential shot, So to negate that, just having it at 640 or so is a great way to combat that. You may ask though, isn't it bad to raise your ISO that high for no reason? The difference of ISO 100 to ISO 400 is so small that at that point it's not even worth a thought unless you really like to look at photos and like to guess what ISO they were taken at. Personally though, I'd rather not mess up a shot due to a slow shutter speed and just raise the ISO. Tip number 5, enjoy the process. Have fun. Think back to why you began photography in the first place. Focus on the process and not getting the bangers. This will have a feedback loop effect and allow you to eventually get those bangers. The more you enjoy the process of photography, the more you'll go out. The more you'll go out, the more likely you'll encounter these special moments. It's really that simple. As previously said, street photography is all about getting every moment to occur just as you want it at the same time. More times than not, that's not going to happen. That's just being realistic. Instead of seeing the end goal, try new things. Explore areas of your city and try to see it in a different perspective. Focus on specific skill sets when you're going out, such as focusing on color harmonization, or framing subjects, or symmetry, and so on. I'll be the first one to admit it about my hometown LA. I don't like it. It's not the best city for photography. Not only does traffic suck, but the city itself isn't exactly to my liking. That's just me. But I still enjoy taking photos in the city. And it's totally fine if you don't get anything for that particular shoot. That's happened to me plenty of times. You're outside the house and you got your steps in. That's already a good accomplishment for the day. Whatever it takes to get yourself out and shooting, do those things, and you'll have more chances of getting those bangers. Whatever it is, just get out there and shoot. Until next time.